The biggest four-game series of the year is upon us. And of course, the Jays spinning some magic here, buddy. Not just
You know,
beating Carlos Rodon, but then going in against Max Fried yesterday on Canada Day, and not just beating the Yankees, but handing them their ass.
that's good.
The air just, it's a little sweeter today, you know? Water hydrates just a little bit more. Everything's just a tiny bit better if you are a Blue Jays fan. And I'm so excited to get in today's mailbag because there is so much positivity going on. And
Ah,
even some of the negative comments I picked are just funny right now, you know? So you can
yeah.
always reach out, and we do appreciate all of the interaction throughout the week. We do this every single Tuesday. Of course, I'm saying this on a Wednesday because sometimes we do it on a Wednesday. It's a Monday morning mailbag on a Tuesday afternoon on a Wednesday today. I'm Scott Belford, joined by the best co
Uh,
host in the biz, Adam Mack. This is the walk off. Please feel free to hit that subscribe button if you are not subscribed to the channel. It always helps, and that like button goes a long way. Before we dive in to how you can get a hold of us for mailbag, quick little pumping of the baseball town tires here, if you will. So we are 8 days away from baseball town, July 10th. Thursday at the Comedy Bar. We've got a stacked panel. JD Bunkus, friend of the show from the
nice.
JD Bunkus podcast from Sportsnet, joining us. We've got, of course, long-time, long toss veteran, friend of the show, Baseball Jen, is coming down to be on the panel.
Lovely.
And last but definitely not least, comedian and actor. You might have seen him in Umbrella Academy and The Boys. Tom Henry is taking the final spot
Very
on
cool.
the panel. And then we've got our favorite couple coming in to do the roast battle, Cam and Angelica. So Cam Phoenix and Angelica Scanura, they are just seriously a couple of the best comics in Toronto. They just had a kid. They've been trying to get on Baseball Town since last year. They were like the people I just kept going to for the roast because they are so darn good
Yeah,
at
yeah.
it. And one of those you don't really know what you got till it's gone type of situations, Adam, because trying to fill those roast battle spots without them, I'm like, ooh, like they were really, really good at it. So I'm excited to have them back.
Nice.
Tickets for that if you use the coupon code baseball, only $20. So you can get that. That is
Oh,
link for that is in the description, and hopefully we see you all out. It's going to be a really fun night, and we're going to be able to really dive into the trade deadline and get some positivity. Hopefully, as the Blue Jays finishing this stretch, coming up to it here with the Angels and the Athletics. So hopefully, we're in a very positive mood.
can I recommend a secret discount code? Not for this time, but for next time. Like baseball, great coupon code. But
Yes.
could you do like a secret one, like Yankees suck, and it's only $19? Like you just get an extra dollar. Like you acknowledge
You
Yankees suck.
acknowledge the Yankees suck and you get an extra buck off. I like this idea. We run trivia too, which has been
Ooh.
really fun at Left Field Brewing. The next one there is July 20th, by the way, in Liberty Village. But our rules are number three rule on our list of rules. No Yankees fans. We have a hard rule,
Mm.
no Yankees fans, and it always gets an applause whenever we bring it up. Everyone's like,
Ah,
yes,
that's the best. You just warmed the
hello, no
cockles of my
Yankees
heart.
fans.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
All right, folks. There we go. That's all the pregame ramble. We're going to get into mailbag now. You can always reach out on Twitter at Walk Off Podcast, the Walk Off Podcast on Blue Sky, and on Instagram. Our TikTok is up and running, the Walk Off Podcast. By the way, I was in Buffalo over the weekend, got to sit down and chat on the field with Will Robertson, chatted with Riley Terada, chatted with Adam Macko. We
Nice.
did blind rankings of Bison's jerseys. So if you're into some fun little content there, that's fun. And then we also had an interview portion with them where Will Robertson talked about his major league debut. Adam Macko talked about coming back from injury. Riley Terada talked about how, yeah, there's lots of people getting called up, but not him yet. But hang in there, Riley. You'll get it there, bud. You'll get it there. But yeah, that's on
Uh,
Instagram and on TikTok. All right, let's dive in here to mailbag. Patreon always gets the automatic entry, the Patreon bump, we call it. That's $4 a month. And one of the perks there is getting on mailbag. Starting with Wyatt G. He goes, "Hey, fellas, just wondering your thoughts on Shapiro and Atkins' team at this point. You think they finally got it right? Is this our year?" And I'm going to open this up to you, the grounds crew, as well. Has your opinion on Shapiro and Atkins and the way that they've built this 2025 team maybe shifted a little from your opinion at the beginning of the season? Let's start with you, Adam. Where are you at on the brass, the front office?
I don't know. I'm still cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
Like, let's ride this wave while we can, but I am just a little bit of waiting for the other shoe to drop and be like, oh, okay, there's that 15 game losing streak that we were
And
waiting for. Like, even
it
right now,
hasn't
like,
come yet.
no, but coming into this series against the Yankees and looking at the schedule ahead going into the All-Star break, right? It's like Yankees are a tough matchup. I mean, everybody's a tough matchup, but
Hmm.
let's just get that out of there. And then you go like, okay, A's and White Sox and
Angels and
Angels. Okay, we should win all those series, 2-1s, right? If we could split, we're at home. We should be able to split with the Yankees, like 2-2 against the Yankees, maybe 3-1. But now you've won two in a row. It really feels like a
now I want them
split
all, right?
would
I
be an
want them
absolute
all.
letdown, right? Like to lose, we're within striking distance. We're one game back of the Yankees, and you go, well, we sweep them and we just have passed them.
Hmm.
But now if this turns into a split and we go 2-2, we're back to 3 games back. Like what a gut punch. So it is
We're in an
I,
interesting we're in an interesting point of the season. We're just over the halfway point, and we have had some bad luck when it comes to Anthony Santander, right? Or if you just look
yep.
at our big signings, Anthony Santander never really got going and injured for most of the season. Andre Jimenez, right? Same sort of thing. Never really has gotten going and has dealt with a fairly substantial chunk of injury here. Boy, has he looked good as of late, but we'll wind up diving into that a little later on. And then Jeff Hoffman has been really hot and cold, and I know he's looked pretty good as of late. He's striking people out again and has been pretty steady getting those closes until you go far enough back where he wasn't. So yeah, Varsho hasn't been in center field, so it does feel like this team has been limping through a little bit. We talk about our starting pitching ad nauseum. Max Scherzer returning has been huge. His thumb is a little sore after getting the win. Well, I don't think he actually took the W, but the team got the win on Monday's game. It feels like there's more in the tank, which for a team who is one game back of the division and fourth best in all of the American League right now and holds the lone wild card spot, there's reason to feel optimistic. There really is. But I'm kind of with you when it comes to, are we going to forgive Shapiro and Atkins' indiscretions of the past? I'm not there yet, but I will say I do like this 2025 team. I do like that they held tight with their evaluation on some of these guys and it's working out. And I do really need to give some credit, and I'm well aware that time will tell where this actually lands, but I've been very, very negative on their player development. And for the first time in years, we're really seeing some hype about this Blue Jays farm system, especially when it comes to pitching in the lower levels. So, how does this all play out? We're going to need to just hold our breath and continue to wait. But you know what? If this team positions themselves to be a true contender come the playoffs and they still are looking at this farm system as an area of strength, it's tough not to give a little leeway to Shapiro and Atkins, in my opinion. Winning cures a lot of things, right? Winning can cure a lot of dislike and hatred.
Yeah, I mean, for every Alec Manoa that doesn't work out,
Mm-hmm.
there is a Ernie Clement
Yeah.
who does, I guess, right? So
Dude, they gave the wins above replacement of all of the best third basemen of the every team's third baseman. Ernie Clement is only behind Jose Ramirez. It is insane what that man is doing.
I don't. I was looking at this before we hit record here.
Okay.
Jose Ramirez. Let's pull up his stats. So Jose Ramirez, we're at, let's just call it the halfway mark of the season, right?
Yeah.
Some players have played 80 games, some players have played 83 games. Let's just call it 81. We're at the halfway mark
Yeah.
across the board. Jose Ramirez, 13 home runs,
Hmm.
38 RBIs, slugging of almost 500, 493. OPS 860, so an OPS plus of 139. That's good for a WAR, according to Baseball Reference, 2.9. And that
3.3 F4, by the way, if you're a fan
okay,
graphs person. It's
let's
all
use
irrelevant.
your WAR then because I'm on Baseball Reference.
Okay.
It's 3.0 for Ernie Clement, which is whatever, better than Jose
Yeah.
Ramirez. Um, let's just say they're both on pace for like a 6-ish WAR. Like great. These are
It's insane.
as good as you could ask for, right? But like the numbers on Ernie Clement, I know that like defense is a factor, but this feels like how good can his defense, or is it the utility factor of like where is he getting his WAR from? Because let me just before you answer, read these numbers on Ernie Clement. So remember Jose Ramirez, 13 home runs, 38 RBIs, 20 stolen bases, and an OPS plus of 139. Then we look at Ernie Clement's offensive numbers: 4 home runs, 24 RBIs, 3 stolen bases,
Hmm.
and an OPS plus of 112. So, like, the batting average is great.
Yeah,
Ernie
he is.
Clement hitting 305. Okay, so is Jose Ramirez. Jose Ramirez is beating him by a mile in every other category. So, what am I missing on Ernie Clement? Is it just he is a elite? Is he Matt Chapman defensively? Like, what am I missing here? Because it doesn't, I never get that feeling from Ernie defensively. He feels solid. He doesn't
Yeah.
feel elite. Is he?
I think the biggest thing that's working in his favor is the fact he is so versatile, moves around the diamond. He is, if you look at his defensive metrics, one of the top guys in baseball at third base. And then also on top of that, I think the fact that he mashes lefties like he does has definitely given him extra points there. And his contact rate is so good. So he's one of those guys that when you look at his RISP, runners in scoring position, he's getting it done, putting the ball in play. No?
I mean, you might be right, but I don't know how. If we're
But this is
talking
why
runners
people
in scoring
argue. This is
position,
this is why people argue war all the time, though, Adam.
yeah, like I mean, I get the runners in scoring position and being able to put the ball in play is great, but if it's not resulting in RBIs, like I don't know, like just 24 RBIs for Ernie and 38 for Jose Ramirez, like
Now, in
50% more for J Ram.
in Ernie's defense here, Jose Ramirez is hitting third in that Guardians lineup, and Ernie Clement, for the most part, has been in the 7 or 8 hole for a lot of this season. I think he's hit
So
cleanup a couple of times. Like he really is a bottom of the lineup guy, which
okay, so does War, and I know you probably don't know the answer to this. Does War just factor in like a guy overachieving, or or is it the lack of protection? Are we saying that his numbers are more impressive because he's got Nathan Lucas and and Andres Jimenez hitting around him?
no, I'm just saying for having fewer RBIs, he's just in a spot in the lineup where there's going to be less opportunity.
Okay, no, I okay, that I follow. That I believe you. Fair enough. So Jose Ramirez maybe is just in a
I mean,
situation
honestly,
to
Adam,
score.
I think you ask any Jays fan who they take at third base if you have the
I
option, Jose Ramirez or Ernie Clement. Everyone's taking Jose Ramirez. But for the sheer value that Ernie Clement is offering, the contract that he's on, the ability to move around the diamond, and the fact that he's a 7-hole hitter who is going to put the ball in play and is smart enough on the base path to not run into outs, it's a pretty good little combo. And I think as Blue Jays fans, we should just enjoy what he's doing, even if maybe the numbers seem skewed towards what he's doing. It's fine. I'm fine with it.
yeah, I am not like anti-Ernie.
No.
I'm just anti-war.
Hmm.
Peace talks in the Middle
Yes.
East
What
is
is
what
it
I'm
good
getting
for?
at here.
Adam says.
Yeah.
What is it good for?
Yeah.
This kind
And
of goes
quit
into
that
the
beeping. Throw it
this
out the
goes into
window.
the next comment really well here because
Okay.
Trevor reached out. Now, for anyone who follows the show knows Trevor is no fan of this front office, but I love the way he spins this here. He's like, "Holy fuck. That loud crunching noise is me eating my words on Springer. Dead money contract? Come on. How you how do you like the run differential, Yanks? Stick that Pythagorean up your asses. We are going to take this division, aren't we? Just too much good pixie dust going on for us all over the place. I have always loved this front office, is how he ends this. But honestly, man, what George Springer is doing is absolutely insane. I mean, truly, the Grand Slam yesterday was probably the biggest hit of the season for this Blue Jays team against a competitor in their division to put him up by 4 runs. Just a beautiful thing to see. And you look at the way he approached very, very good hitters in Carlos Rodon, and then again yesterday with Max Fried. He's getting his hits and he's hitting for power. This is the last 5 weeks. These are RBIs, MLB RBI leaders last 5 weeks. Cal Raleigh, number one with 34. Max Muncy, 31. George Springer, 29 RBIs. Yes, yesterday he had 7. I'm well aware, but you know what? RBIs comes in bunches, and I'm sure if you start breaking down Cal Raleigh and Max Muncy, they've got a few big days in there too. In those 5 weeks, Springer's hitting 310, 8 home runs, a 950 OPS. The dude is literally improved in almost every single category across the board when it comes to his baseball savant page. His barrel rate has jumped close to 7%. His contact rate is way up. He's like literally the most improved in contact in baseball right now. Like where this old man is getting this from, I don't even want to know what pixie dust he's using, right? Like you keep it secret, you keep it away from the media. But like
Yeah, Springer has, I think, okay, so the numbers on Springer here. Um, 2021 was his first season in Toronto. Only played 78 games, had 22 home runs. So it was like a 40-ish home run pace,
yeah.
40, 45 home run pace, 907 OPS. The following season, 25 home runs, so a little bit more, but he played 133 games.
Yeah.
So the OPS went from 907 to 814, right? Still good. You're
Mm-hmm.
still fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
But then 2023 is where we did start to be like, oh shit, this is a dead weight contract, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the downward trend continued. He played a full season, 154 games, 21 home runs, and an OPS of 732. That's an OPS plus of 102. So like league average, 25 million is a lot for a 102 OPS plus. And then last year, played 145 games, 19 home runs, and an OPS of 674. That's an OPS plus of 91. That's below average. You're looking at a 34-year-old who's trended down for 4 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, we still got 2 more years of this guy?
Yeah.
Like, so there's reason to be concerned for sure. And now this year, yeah, I mean, He's at 13 home runs already. Again, we're at the midpoint in the season, so he's on pace for like 25, 26 home runs. So it's still not the 45 home run pace that he was putting up as a 31-year-old his first year in Toronto. But his OPS is back up to 854. That's an OPS plus of 137. Like
Yeah.
those are great numbers from George Springer. So I don't know
He
where I was going with that, but
just that he's turned himself back into the offensive engine of this team. Like honestly, man, it's
I know where
wild.
I was going with this, Scott. This is every off season for the last, well, since we had our crisis in Seattle in the playoffs. We've been getting sold a bag of positive regression
Yeah.
from Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro, right? Is that
Don't call it
continuity
improvement. Don't you call it improvement.
is
Positive
that
regression. Johnny
continuity is a
Eaton's.
competitive advantage,
Yes.
right? And while if Vlad can just bounce back and give us, 50 home runs again, and if like this guy could just bounce back. So like the season that we're getting out of George Springer right now,
Hmm.
this is the positive regression that they've been selling us, right? So I wish it was more across the board. I mean, Bo Bichette still feels like a little bit of a shell of himself, but from what he was last year, I don't know who's more improved. Like just on a year from last year to this year, who's more improved? Bo or Springer?
Wow. I mean, huge steps for both of them.
Yeah. I mean, like this year, Springer's putting up better numbers than Bo,
Yeah.
but Bo
But
was
Bo is
so
so
much
bad,
worse.
yes, last year.
So
Yeah. And you
the
know what? While we're adding guys to the list of positive regression, I mean, you got to talk Ernie and you got to talk Addison Barger. Like both of them have been incredible for 2025 in comparison to last year. Not that Ernie was horrible last year. He
I
wasn't a
just don't I
five
don't
WAR
count
player.
I don't count those in the positive regression because for me the positive regression means they were up here,
Okay, yeah.
then they came down and now they're coming back up to the norm.
We can say the emergence.
Sure, the emergence, yes, right? But like Kirk, I think is having a positive regression season,
Yes.
right? 2020, yeah, 2020 was his rookie season.
Mm-hmm.
Came out like a bat out of hell. The sky was the limit for this portly young fellow.
Mm-hmm.
And then I felt like he was kind of just continually like disappointing year over year.
And then
And now,
2022, he had that Silver Slugger year. And honestly, he's kind of, if it wasn't for
right?
Cal Raleigh, he'd be in line to be Silver Slugger again. He's never going to
Yeah,
get it with fucking the big
with what
dumper
Cal's
hitting
doing.
close to 70 home runs, like chasing down Mark McGuire. But,
Yeah,
anyways, like,
yeah. Cal Raleigh, man, is
oh, what a
he's
story.
he's I mean, provided he stays healthy and the numbers
Yeah.
continue the way they're going, he's MVP of the American League, right?
I mean, these are, I agree, but these
Yankees
are,
fans would
yeah,
argue,
Yankees fans
but
would argue pretty heavily. I mean, Aaron Judge is having a pretty special
but
year,
I
but
mean,
you
you
know
go
what? A
offensive
catcher
numbers
though.
out of a
I know.
catcher.
Yeah. And like not just offensive numbers. Like literally any team would take him at DH with these
Yeah,
numbers.
yeah, we sure would.
Oh God. Yeah.
So
All
yeah,
right.
I don't know. It's good.
Let's
Team's in the right direction.
it really is uh looking like the way that this team was put together by the front office is finally starting to show the fruits of their labor kind of thing. And we've always said here on the walk off, we don't really give a shit about the front office or the players in particular. I mean, I love all the guys and so on and so forth, but I just want a winning Blue Jays team, right? I just
Mhm.
want another World Series, and how they do it, I don't really care. So if Ross Atkins pulls some freaking rabbit out of his hat and then they sign him long term, I forgive all. You know, you give me a winning team, I will be very forgiving, right? Just show me
Yeah.
the W's. Moving on. This is from Art Vandelay in Patreon. He's commented on your Friday show, and he just said, "Good job, Adam." Adam, of course, went solo on Friday, but he goes, "Good job, Adam. Thanks for doing this. I dropped Springer for Barger in my fantasy league a few weeks ago. I'm wishing I had both. I do have Ernie as well, and he's been consistently good. Let's keep voting to get Vladdy to the All-Star game ahead of Paul Goldschmidt and give the Yankees fans just one more thing to be angry about." And I'm with you. Art Vandelay of Vandelay Industry. He knows his stuff.
Latex salesman.
Latex salesman knows his stuff.
Was Art Vandelay also an architect and marine biologist?
I don't
Was it
think
Art
he was.
Vandelay for all of them?
No, I don't think Art Vandelay was the marine biologist.
Right, because he was George dating a
Yeah,
girl.
that's right. Just
Okay,
George lying
you're
about
right.
his profession. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
I did get a text from Brian, my buddy, Monday at 1, who said, "No Friday show?" And I said, "Well, Friday I just did the mini episode by myself for Patreon, 20 minutes, studs and duds, which is what Art Vandelay is referring to.
Yes.
You are, of course, on the road to Buffalo." And Brian said, "Boo for all the non-Patreon people keeping track of the studs and duds. That's a letdown."
Yeah.
So I told Brian this and I will tell everybody else. There will be a first half of the season recap next week for
Love
the
it.
All-Star break. So we will finally get but I got to do homework for that. That's why I've
Yes.
been like kind of dreading doing this is I got to go back through my notes and I got to tally up all of the studs and duds for the first 12 weeks of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So, but there you go.
Okay. So I just am bringing this up because a few Patreon members reached out and commented and let us know where we're at. But some folks were wondering where Buck Martinez is,
Okay.
and he is dealing with some health problems. He really wanted to be back in the booth, but it just hasn't been um, where he wants it to be. So that's kind of what's going on with Buck as you listen to Dan and Joe in the box and you're just like, why is Buck not there? Well, that's why. So dealing with a health setback, he did come out and say that he's hoping that he's back here after the All-Star break. We do too. Buck is just an institution when it comes to calling games in Toronto, and I love when he does it. So all the best to Buck, and hopefully he's healthy and back.
I think I asked you this last year. I'll ask again. I know that I was surprised by the responses we got from the grounds crew, but Buck Martinez, Ring of Honor? Like, does he get honored or is he just like, he's a broadcaster. We're not doing that.
I think that they could put Buck on the
Or level of excellence or
level of
whatever it's called.
excellence. I think, I mean, if Buck retires, I think that's where his name has to be. Personally, I'm not.
But if he dies first, we don't put it
Well,
up.
well, I mean, if he dies first, I mean that's dark. But yeah, I mean, still put him up.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, he's institutional Blue
Yeah.
Jays, whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I know when we asked this last year or when the health problems started, maybe it might have
Yeah.
been 2 years ago. We talked about this, and I was surprised to see all the
Yeah.
pushback of like not even close, like no way
Well,
level of
Tom Cheek's
excellence
up
for
there.
Buck.
I think when it like maybe you don't want him up there as a player, but just as like a ambassador of the Blue Jays and the voice of the Blue Jays since the 90s, like I personally I think Buck should be up there. I don't know.
What are they waiting for then? Like if that was to be, so here's the case. Level of excellence. We've got Jose Batista,
Hmm.
Paul Beeston, George Bell, Joe Carter, Tom Cheek, Carlos Delgado, Tony Fernandez, Cito Gaston, Pat Gillick, Roy Halladay, and Dave Stieb.
Hmm.
So 2 non-players.
Yep. Three.
Who's the third?
Gillick, Beeston, and Cheek.
And then I guess Gaston is as a manager,
Yeah.
but he's essentially he wore a uniform,
Yeah.
right? Managers wear uniforms. Basically a player. Yeah, like I don't know if it was only players, and then we were talking about making Buck Martinez the first non-player and like breaking the barrier of, hey, we're going to allow civilians in the level of excellence. Like maybe he's not the first non-player in the level of excellence, but since we've already,
Yeah.
it's 40%.
He's a broadcast legend. Like, let's be
Yeah,
serious. I
yeah.
mean, you might,
So
even if you don't like listening to Buck call games, you have to kind of give him credit for 25 years, a quarter of a century of just doing the job. I mean, he's at 35 years almost. Like,
yeah,
and what an institution within the organization. I mean, coming over, he was the catcher who led them to, well, we all are well aware that it was Mosby, Barfield, Fernandez, and Steve that led them to their first kind of playoff series in 85, but Buck was there. He was behind the plate, right? So I know that maybe when it comes to skill set as a player, Buck is not level of excellence, but just for what he's done for the organization, personally, I think he should already be up there. And grounds crew, feel free to drop your comments because we'll definitely dive into this next mailbag. We'll check in on this.
and while we're on this topic, if they do another 10 years, I would say put Hazel up there.
Yeah.
Like she's 55 right now. If she goes till she's 65, that's a harder job to do as you're older than sitting in a booth and being
Yeah.
off camera and whatever. But she feels like as much a piece of Jay's lore as anybody.
As almost anyone.
I mean, other than
Tough to
her
argue.
departing and going to the States for a decade or whatever, right?
Yeah,
Like
but
that might be the only thing
that's
working against
typical
her.
Canadian entertainment, right? It's like, yeah, we'll accept you as one of our heroes in Canada once you go fucking prove it in the US. I mean, we are well aware of that. This is the
That's tr-
comedian bitterness coming out of
that's
me here.
true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. We don't want you to leave, but if you didn't leave, or you probably weren't good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. All right. Yeah, so there you go. Buck, I think, should be level of excellence. I would say that conclusively. And I would say Hazel could be
hmm
like it wouldn't be like she's 65, she does her last thing on the sidelines, but like it wouldn't be a level of excellence the day she retires. But like,
No, I agree. Hazel
let her do
definitely.
10 more years, and then in Vladdy's final season as a J, she can come out for her level of excellence and he can dump Gatorade on her. There we go.
There we
This
go.
is the
Full
whole plan.
circle. Full
Yeah, she's
circle.
accepting her award, and old man Vladdy comes out and dumps a big bucket of Gatorade on her. And then she dies of hypothermia because she's 100 years old. So there you go. That's the plan. Okay, let's skip to the mailbag.
Into Twitter.
Sure.
At Walk Off Podcast, you can always DM us. Andrew Rampersad did just that. He says an absolute Blue Jays beat down on Canada Day against the Yankees! Exclamation mark. What could be better? Happy Canada Day, boys. So yeah, right back at you, Andrew. Appreciate
Yep.
that. And
Happy
I
Canada
not
Day.
alone, by the way. I had honestly, dude, probably a dozen plus messages from people being like, just celebrating the win, right? Just
Yeah.
riding that Canada Day win high,
Yeah.
feeling good. And why wouldn't you?
Well, hey, you know what? When you've been through the lows of like what this team has been, and like even the start we got off to, and like the floating slightly below 500 for like most of the season, and then to rattle off the hot streak we were on, and
needing to put up
now
with 2024.
yeah,
Like,
like so like we earned it. Like if you've
yeah.
been a diehard or a casual fan, but you've been tuning in, even if you're not watching every game, but you're checking the scores a couple
hmm
times a week at least,
Yeah.
and you're seeing the frustration of your team like underperforming, like yeah, this is the payoff
This
for
is a
that.
big
And
one.
like, we're not the Dodgers. We're not for a successful season, it's not World Series or bust. I
Yeah.
wish we were that level of
Yeah.
team. We're not. For me, successful season is like meaningful baseball in September and
hmm
October. I'm just talking from a fan perspective, right? Not from a
hmm
like, should the team aim higher, but just like did I have a good time this year? Were there moments like what we're experiencing right now? The last month and a bit has been great. Uh, Stomping the Yankees always feels good. So like
Always.
this is, you know, probably not gonna have World Series aspirations in October, but like
Hmm.
this is the peak of my baseball enjoyment right now is the stretch we're on right now. So hopefully we keep it going and yeah, ride baby ride.
Cece DM'd us on Twitter and she goes, "Hey guys, love the podcast by the way, so thank you. You guys cracked me up. I was pumped after
Thank you.
yesterday's Canada Day win. Would you guys still be happy with a split? I know you mentioned that in the previous episode, or do you want more now that they won the first two? I want more," she says. So, yeah, I mean,
We
perception is
just
a funny little thing, how it can
yeah.
shift pretty quick there. Yeah, taking those first two games against the two-headed monster at the top of that starting
Oh, that's
rotation,
the
too.
hardest too.
Hardest,
I
too,
felt
which,
like I really thought we'd be in a 2 game hole, clawing
yes,
our way to a split.
yes. So
So
honestly, I'm with CC. Give me more. I want more. Put the boots to their throat. Let's go.
yeah,
Right.
I'm with you.
And honestly, I think it's really doable at this point. I'm even gonna step back a second here and just stay in reality if I can, because I want to sweep, obviously. But
Mhm.
even if they just get one more, right? Win this series, that is
Yeah, you make up
huge.
2 games. It's because it's a 4 game series. So making up 2 games in a head-to-head series is
Massive.
massive. So
And
Yankees have been bad
yes,
this
they
month
have.
too. Hey, like
Yeah.
Jays, I think are the best in the AL East. We're I
And the
think
Yanks have been the
half a
worst.
game above the Rays. So Rays have, which has been the one frustrating thing, is
Oh,
like the only thing that really makes this Jays surge a little bit of a wet blanket is those fucking
I
Rays,
know. They just
where
don't
it's
go
like, oh,
away.
like here we are. We're gonna. I mean, potentially surpass the Yankees. Be like, yeah, and we're still not going to be winning the AL East,
Hmm.
right? Just because
Hmm.
the freaking Rays are going to be a game and a half ahead of us or whatever, right? Like, so, but yeah, Yankees I think are below 500 in June,
They
so
have been.
like
They have been.
14 and
They
16 or
actually
something. So
in the last 30 games, I saw that the Yankees are the worst team in the AL East, and the Red Sox are the second worst. It's funny because Baltimore has actually been winning, but they
yeah,
dug such a hole. It's kind of irrelevant. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, that was my Blue Jays fandom through the late 90s and early
yeah,
2000s was we dig such a hole early that it didn't matter playing good ball in
yeah.
like June and July. It was like, yeah, but we're already, I mean, it was also a much
There
smaller
weren't three
playoff
wild
pool.
card
So
spots
yeah,
to,
it
yeah,
was, but
yeah.
anyways,
Okay, moving along. This one is from Jared on Blue Sky. He goes, "Happy Canada Day, Scott and Adam. Can't wait for the game
Canada
this
Day.
afternoon." So this was actually before the
Right.
Canada Day game. He goes, "So it's funny. When it comes to podcasts, I agree with your guys' takes more than anyone else I listen to. So thank you, I guess." He goes, "I literally don't know why it drives me nuts that you defend Andre Jimenez. I do get what you're saying about him, but man, that contract just rubs me the wrong way. Do you guys honestly actually believe he'll be worth the money?" So I'm going to start with the money that is owed
Okay.
because there are two ways of looking at this contract. And I think the way to really take it in as a fan is what the cost is going to be towards the payroll. And that
Right.
is 14 million. I've actually got it. Yeah. So it's 14.9. So 15 million AAV. Do I think he's going to be worth 15 million AAV? Yeah, I kind of do. Now, actual money still owed is going to be it's the difference between 60 million and 108, I think it is. Yeah. 108 million, that's a lot of money to spend on a glove first guy. Do I think there's more in the Andre Jimenez tank? I actually do. I do think that by the end of this contract, we're going to look back at his numbers and be like, you know what? He was a league average hitter most of his Blue Jays tenure and was one of the best middle infielders in baseball. So if you can combine those two things, that is a huge win. And I really do think that the Blue Jays can pull that off. Now, Obviously, if that doesn't go down, it changes the equation. And this is the thing with contracts and time. You kind of got to wait it out to see how it actually plays out to truly evaluate it. As annoying and as lame as that answer is. Huge home run from the guy yesterday, right? And the nice
Yep.
thing with Jimenez is that he does show a little bit of power at the back end of that batting order. And you know what? If you can get a guy who's going to hit 10 to 12 to 15 home runs in the 9 hole, yeah, you fucking take that. And I do think that there is big value in having a 26-year-old who has a track record and has done it before. I know that 2022 is a few years ago, and I'm well aware that Cleveland was thrilled to dump him. I'm sure they were.
Hmm.
But that's the difference between a small market organization and a big market organization. And you know what? I could wind up eating my words on Jimenez. I could be doing a full podcast next year where I'm literally like, I can't believe we've got this dead weight. I just don't see it yet. I love the defensive value that he gives to this team. I love the way the guys rally around him. I don't know if you watch him interact with the other guys, but they do kind of lean on him because of his defensive prowess. And there is something to be said for alleviating guys' minds like a Bo Bichette, where, you know what, Bo doesn't need to worry about ranging to towards second base, right? Because he knows Jimenez is a vacuum and going to have that.
Hmm.
Now, where does Bo land in the offseason? We don't know. Andres Jimenez's value definitely is going to increase if he is at shortstop, just the way that that position works, very similar to how Dalton Varsho is more valuable in center field than he was in left field.
Yep.
I
So
by the way, like I really do get Jared's, like this is a team that needed offense. They went out and got Andre Jimenez, and it just didn't fill the need at the time, even though this feels like addition by a weird equation, and he's just like they're really doing the khakis think job on this one.
yeah. Um, so I agree with like everything you said. I can't remember if you touched like I know you touched on like the defensive value that he adds to a guy like Bo, and I think even Kirk like really benefits from like
Mhm.
on stolen base like attempts. He is so good at
That
those
tag is
tags.
so smooth. Good
He's
pickup
so
there.
smooth, man. Like it's
Yeah.
such a so I think that's gonna play more as their chemistry builds between Jimenez and Kirk. Like when you just got confidence in a guy that like he's gonna get the tag down. Like Kirk doesn't have to worry about making the perfect throw necessarily, right? Like so he could put a little bit more into the throw, speed it up a little bit. Because I feel like there's a confidence. If I throw this one on a short hop, Jimenez is going to dig this out and still get a tag down. Maybe it's not in time, but like I can just go for it. Whereas if he's not there and I short hop it, maybe this is going into center field and that runner's going to three.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So like
Mm-hmm.
there's that added value too. Just yeah, being like being an awesome defensive second baseman is kind of an oxymoron, to be honest, right? But yeah, like the potential if Bo leaves and he moves over to short, but like that kind of brings me back to like where the value in Jimenez comes from is
Mm-hmm.
like
It does
six
give the
months
front
ago,
office options too, which is
6 months ago, or whenever this deal was made, we were looking at going into an off season, going into a trade deadline, going into a path. Vladdy hadn't signed yet. Bo seemed like he wasn't long for the Jays anymore. So there was definitely an aspect of like by bringing in Andres Jimenez, it alleviated a lot of leverage that Bo would have had
mhm,
in negotiations with us, right? So like
which has
regardless of how
value
the
also, right?
what's
Even
that?
though it that has value too, right? Like,
That's what I mean, right? Is like I do not think Bo is going to get. I know there's another question coming up towards the end about like, is Bo going to stay with the Jays or whatever? So I don't want to spend too much time on that for this comment, but I don't know if Bo resigns with Toronto. He may not. What I think will not happen is no hometown discount. Like Bo is going to get whatever the maximum money he can get. If that's in Toronto, I think he stays. If that's in San Diego, I think he goes to, you know what I mean? Like, I think is just, he'll test the market. Whatever the biggest number is that works for him, that's where he'll go. Now, what I think is, let's just say, to make the numbers nice and round, it's a bridge deal, 100 million over 3 years, 35-ish a year, whatever. If the Blue Jays didn't have Andres Jimenez, they would be more leveraged to like give him a 4th year.
Yeah.
You know, like, okay, we'll go 4 years, 150, or, 4 years, 135 kind of thing, right? Because it's like, what does a world look like where
this team doesn't have a shortstop? Yeah.
Yeah, we're shortstop or a second baseman. Like we're rolling out Vladdy at first. Hey, great Gold Glove Vladdy.
I mean, Ernie's incredible, but he can't play 3 positions.
Yeah,
right?
like you've got Will Robertson and who at second and short, right? So like that alleviating that pressure, I think, is like also like an understated value in the Andres Jimenez deal. So like, yeah, I mean, do you got to kind of hold your nose when you look at the numbers and be like, all right, it's not the greatest.
It's not the prettiest contract.
It could be worse.
It could be worse.
But then going from there, and then you look at like the fucking absolute nightmare that Red Sox fans are dealing with. And I just feel like that's the road that we avoided by signing Andres Jimenez or trading for Andres Jimenez, right? Is that like Red Sox get Bregman, Devers is furious, he's gone. Now Bregman has all of the power.
Yeah. And opt-outs all the way through.
So he's got opt-outs. He's already posturing with Boris because Boris is his agent and whatever, right? It was, sorry, I've got his contract here pulled up. Bregman's money is 120 million over 3 years.
Yeah.
40 million a year. But yeah, opt-out after this year and then an option after for the final year as well. So he's already basically saying like, hey, I'm open to extensions right now.
Right now.
And the Red Sox really can't do anything to be like, no. So like, I'm reading this article this morning on Sports Illustrated that Red Sox are shopping Bregman at the deadline. Like, if they can't extend him, if they can't get together and reach they're going to trade Bregman.
Yeah.
In the next 29 days, which is...
In which case, Red Sox fans burn Fenway to the ground.
They might get a new stadium next year. Yeah. But like, so like that's where like you got to go. Okay, yeah, Andres Jimenez. Like you look at his numbers offensively, and you're like, oh, 207 batting average, an OPS plus of 71, and we're giving this guy how many millions of dollars? Like, yeah, that's not good. But it's also really not good to be in this position where the Red Sox are looking at trading Alex Bregman after trading Rafael Devers. Like, just an absolute bad spot to be in. And I really think that the Jimenez deal really alleviated a lot of that leverage that Bo Bichette would have had to be like, hey, this is the top of the market offer that I'm getting from the Diamondbacks. You guys cannot lose me. So tack on another year and an extra 5 million for Canadian taxes or, whatever the thing is. But like, you guys have no leverage to let me walk. So, man, but Bregman leaving the Red Sox would just be awesome. I actually heard that there's one of the listed teams that would be in. This is a long shot. I don't think so, but man, this would be a splash. Jays are one of the teams listed as a good fit for Bregman.
Get George Springer's good buddy, Alex Bregman, here on that fucking opt-out. He's opting out. Just a rental.
Who cares?
Like, oh man,
you're going to pay him $12 million for the next half of the season.
That's going for it. That would be going.
That would be going for it.
And this leads in beautifully to the next comment, which is Blair Shiskets. I'm saying that wrong for sure on Blue Sky. Blair says, "Hey guys, Atkins mentioned a righty bat might be something they go after at the deadline. Any ideas on who you would want?" So, I mean, the Red Sox are interesting. Obviously, Eugenio Suarez should be at the top of almost anyone's list who's after a bat. This is a man who
Hmm.
just hits bombs. He's over 20 home runs on the season. The Arizona Diamondbacks in a really shitty situation being in the NL West around all these other very, very good teams. They're at 500 right now, but I think they're 4 or 5 back of the wild card at this point. The National League is stacked in 2025. And that just is bad news for the D backs, who just, when they went to the World Series, only won 84 games. They're going to win far more than that, most likely. Or I shouldn't say far more, but it's likely they win around that again and are way out of a wild card, right?
Yeah.
Like you might need 90 wins to make the wild card in the NL right now. So, barring Eugenio Suarez, I mean, and Alex Bregman is a nice little
Nice
thing, but
consolation
you know
prize.
what? Maybe you do turn to the Red Sox a little bit. This was an interesting one from friend of the show, Rob Wong, who basically said, of the non Eugenio Suarez bats, I think that Rob Refsnyder, if Boston falls out of it, is probably the most intriguing option for the Jays. A true lefty masher that can play the corner outfield. Since 2022, Refsnyder has a 154 weighted runs created plus versus left-handed pitching, ranks ninth amongst Major League Baseball hitters with a minimum 400 plate appearances. That's a guy too that you can probably get for all bats are going to cost you something, but it's not going to take one of those top prospects that you're trying to
Yeah.
hang on to in Namala and Yasavich, and probably even like a Tiedemann is safe
Hmm.
in this regard. So that is a really interesting one. Of course, Rob Refsnyder played a little bit with the Blue Jays. I think it was back in 2019. I'd need to look here. I should have been more prepared, but Rough Snyder's a really interesting, intriguing one. And honestly, there's a few bats in the Red Sox order that you're like, huh, I wonder if they are actually going to wind up selling. What can you go? Now I know that it's a little bit more difficult to trade within the division, so you kind of want to look elsewhere. But I don't know.
32 games with the Blue Jays in 2017.
2017. There you go. There you go. He sure turned himself into a nice little player in
Hmm.
comparison to where he was at when he was with the Blue Jays, which was just a
Yeah.
fringe major leaguer. He's definitely. So, by the way, grounds crew, drop your comments below. Who are you after as a right-handed bat? Not necessarily just off the bench, but I think that that's another option that they go is they try and get a lefty masher that maybe can't hit righties worth shit. And so he sits on the bench until you need him against a lefty. And you know what? Props and tip of the hat to Davis Schneider, who since coming back has been really, really good, and he's showing some real value in the spot that the organization is putting him in, which is basically he's in there to hit lefties, and he's been doing it. I know Monday he had that big double to put them back in the lead. Had a couple hits over the last couple days against these Yanks. Love to see it.
So he started the season rough in
Hmm.
April. Um, was a 0.67 batting average through the first 2 weeks of the season. His last game before getting sent down April 13th. Um, since getting called up June 1st, he's hitting 263. So OPS of 786. I mean,
Above average. It's what you want.
it's an incredible bounce back from him. So his
Hmm.
OPS has gone from 400 in the first 2 weeks of the season since getting called back up. And like you said, they're using him
Sparingly.
selectively.
Yes,
Yeah,
much
sparingly.
better said. Selectively is a great way of putting
Um,
it.
but it's working out. So like that could just be the niche that David Schneider fills. And that's fine. Like that's fine.
Hmm. All right, going to YouTube. This is from day 4. He says Vladdy has not. We were talking about Vladdy and if his value matches what he's been producing. I think we all know that he's not there right now, but he has been a very big offensive cog in this machine, especially over the last couple weeks. So hopefully this carries on. Vladdy has not been clutch enough for his pay grade. He says, when Judge Ohtani are batting, you feel a sense of fear and anticipation, not with Vladdy. He needs to swing at the ball and get under it. I don't care about his batting average. He is there to hit baseballs over the fence. And there's some definite truth to that. I think that Vladdy has come up big in the last 2 weeks. I know he had a massive hit yesterday with runners on, and if he can continue to do that, that's what we need out of him. Now, what Dave Four is saying about the power, that holds water. It does hold water. You definitely want more dingers out of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. It is just so tantalizing seeing that exit velo and then looking at his launch angle, and he's just hitting piss rockets into the wall. And yeah, if he could just launch angle that up just marginally, that he'd be a
Yeah.
40 home run guy. So
Well, you know he can do it because in that Red Sox series he hit one over the
yeah,
monster. And like that, I feel like when I watch that swing, it's got such a uh loft to the swing. That wasn't a line drive that he just got under. Like
yeah.
that was a I'm gonna try and hit a fly ball to deep left field. And it worked out. So I just remember feeling in that moment like, oh, I wish he would just realize that, like, oh yeah, I should be trying to hit fly balls.
Hmm.
That works fine.
Hmm.
Like because he's got that ability to do it. He can. I don't know. I don't know what the issue is
I
with
don't
Vladdy.
I think if anyone actually could solve this Rubik's Cube, it would have already been done, and we'd
Yeah.
be watching Vladdy be a 50 home run guy. And the fact he's 26 and is doing what he's doing just with the peripheral numbers, you hope it falls into place. And that's the thing that's really frustrating with Vladdy is that he is huge value right now, like he is providing what you want him to provide, but it's still not quite enough. Like when you start to measure how much he's getting paid versus what he's providing, of course we want more. And that more does break down to power. That's
Yeah.
literally if Vladdy's doing everything he's doing and there's 10 more home runs on his season, no one is saying this. So
Yeah, like 4 home runs this month. That's just not.
it's not enough.
That's not enough. It's a 24 home run pace, and you just. I feel like if 30 was the floor for Vlad, you
Hmm.
know, which is like not a huge. It's 5 home runs in June instead of 4.
Hmm.
Right? But you do that every month and you go, okay, yeah, it's a down year for Vladdy. We only got 31 home runs out of him,
Hmm.
you know? But I don't know. I don't want to dwell on Vladdy because
I
the
don't
team's
either.
rolling. He's
Team's
rolling.
rolling.
That's
Yeah.
fine. The
And I'm
power
kind
will
of
come.
I'm kind of in the boat too that I do think, and I may eat my words, and I know people are probably going to roast me in the comments. I do think there's a 50 home run season in Vladdy at some point.
I think so
When?
too.
When I don't know.
He's the thing is he is just entering his prime now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. What does he do at 29? I mean, that's 3
yeah,
years, and there's a lot of experience and knowledge that comes in those 3 years.
totally.
Boom must die on YouTube goes $20 to see Baseball Town. What a deal. You can't even get your crank spun for that.
Oh, jeez, Louise.
So yeah, Baseball
Uh,
Town, July 10th. Honestly, it would be great to see some new faces out. We always get the tried and true out, which I love. It's a real fun little community that has been built here for these baseball towns, and the Blue Jays fan community that comes out is fantastic. If you want to get in on this, give it a try. Just come test it out. See how you like it. Baseball is the coupon code that saves you 20%, gets you in for $20. And again, JD Bunkus from the JD Bunkus podcast and Sportsnet, Jen Smith, Baseball Jen, and then we got Tom Henry, comedian and actor. It's going to be a really fun show. All right, getting to the final question of mailbag. I do want to say thank you so much for all of your interactions. Of course, if you did not get your comment or question in the mailbag, try again. That's how it works. I really do my best
Yes.
to kind of pick new, fresh meat every mailbag. Um, Walk Off
Mhm.
Podcast on Twitter, the Walk Off Podcast, Blue Sky, and Instagram. This one is from YouTube. Jenna B6487 goes, "Does Bo actually want to stay? Question mark. What would be a fair deal for him?"
I don't know. Bo for Bregman straight across.
So I will say
Um,
this, Adam.
yeah.
It's intriguing to me the way the fan base views Bo, and it reminds me of something Keegan Matheson of MLB.com said, which is that for the most part, in how he's gotten to know Bo, Bo's very upfront. He's very honest and he says what he believes, but he doesn't get flowery with it. He doesn't
Hmm.
go on about it. He doesn't sit and bang a drum. He's not Vladdy where he's like, I love
Yeah.
Toronto. I want to stay here forever, right? They ask him a question. He's like, yeah, I do want to stay here. And I would love to play with Vladdy. And then you're not going to hear it again because he answered the question.
Yeah.
And he isn't flamboyant and excited. He isn't one of those guys who's doing a little dance when the Dominican music comes on. He's not a personality. He's just not.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of people hold it against him, and if maybe not hold it against him, they try and read into his body language and the lack of words he's saying. And the way Keegan kind of summed it up is he's like, I wouldn't do that. I would take what Bo says at face value. He's always operated this way, and he always, in the past, has said what he meant, and it comes to fruition, right? And you're like, okay, he meant it. It's all speculation, is what I'm really getting at here, and we don't
Hmm.
100% know. But the fact that he did come out and say that he wants to stay in Toronto and that he wants to be a lifetime Blue Jay with Vladdy, I think it does hold some water. Now, is he going to take a hometown discount? Is this John Tavares? No.
But is this Mitch Marner?
Yeah. Is this Mitch Marner? Will he do a sign and trade? I
Oh,
don't know,
man.
man. So, like I understand Jenna's question, like where does he even want to be here? And I
You
think he
think he does?
does. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that's a reasonable glass half full way of looking at it.
Hmm.
I don't think it's delusional, and I think
Now,
time will tell.
what would be a fair deal? And
Good question.
I know you mentioned a bridge deal. Is there is there a reason for Bo to do an Alex Bregman style deal? And I'll give Adam a second here to pull up the Boris Corp Boston Red Sox Alex Bregman deal. But basically, the way it breaks down is that it's a 3-year contract, but really it's kind of a 1-year contract because there's opt outs between both the first and the second year. I know you've got it up now here, so maybe you can kind of break it down and we'll toss it to the grounds crew if this is the sort of deal that you might do with Bo.
So yeah, he's got a $25 million salary this year, plus a $5 million signing bonus,
Mhm.
essentially every year. So his luxury tax number is 31 million. Um, yeah, with an opt out after this season, and a player option for the final season. I'm not quite sure what the difference is between having an opt out and a player option.
Either way, it's all in his court.
There might be a difference between an opt out and a player option. Might have to do with signing bonus that he may or may not be entitled to. One
Right.
may penalize him more for leaving this year versus next year.
Right.
Like he may forego more of that
Signing bonus, which there was a
signing
fairly
bonus.
substantial chunk to it, correct?
Yeah, yeah. So it was a 3 year, $120 million contract. It says including a $5 million signing bonus, 120 million guaranteed, and an average annual salary of 40 million.
Right.
This season, he'll earn a base salary of 35 and a signing bonus of 5, while carrying a total salary of just 25 million. So I don't know how those numbers add up.
Now, despite the ins and outs of contracts that Adam and I know very little about how it works, I will ask this to you, the grounds crew. Do you think that there is a world where Bo Bichette looks at the bounce back season that he's had and feels like he has more in the tank? And maybe there isn't one of those mega deals, 10 years in term, where it's hundreds of millions of dollars that starts with a three. Now, he is 27 going into 28. Is there a world where maybe it is smartest for Bo come 2026 when the CBA is up for him to maybe do a bridge deal where he can opt out of it and then re-establish his value in 2026? Because truly, if Bo hits home runs like he has been since the middle of May, and he's a 30 home run shortstop with the numbers that he has, 785 OPS to 800, whatever it is in there, right? The ability to play short and second and then also lead off. There is obviously some value in having done that. So is there a world where it's just smarter for him to maybe continue to build on his value and then re-enter the market at 28 years old? And even though he is a little bit older, reestablishing himself as one of the premier offensive shortstops might go a long way. I don't know.
For Bregman, the answer was just obvious, and I wasn't seeing it. It's 6 million a year deferrals for 10
Okay.
years.
Right.
So it's 60 million total deferred money.
Okay.
So 120 million was the contract over 3 years. Half of it is deferred until 2035, and it's 6 million a year after that. But the luxury tax number is 31,705, and that just is the deferral money and prorated present day value bullshit. So it
Yeah.
is technically a $25 million salary with a $5 million bonus and then a bunch of fancy math on deferrals. But yeah,
Okay. Well,
that's
we
that.
will we
So
will wrap it up there. Leave your comments below, grounds crew. If an Alex Bregman style deal is something that you would consider for Bo Bichette, obviously high AAV, where you're probably paying him maybe 35 to 40 million for next season with an opt out, where he would re-enter the market and see if there is a longer term deal involved. And it's going to be interesting because Bo Bichette is going to hit the free agent market this season, and maybe there's already takers that are like, yeah, 10 years we're in. And if that's the case, I think the Jays may be out on him. But if there's a shorter term deal available, I think the Jays are prepared to go some pretty substantial money to keep Bo Bichette. But
there you
um,
go.
we'll see how it rolls out. Okay, thank you so much, everybody. For those of you who sent Happy Canada Day messages, really appreciate that. Right
Right
back
back
at
at
you.
you.
We are well into July. Well, we're not well into it, but we're a day into July. We're over the halfway point of the season, and you know what? The Blue Jays are right where we want them to be. So, go
There you
Jays,
go.
go! Let's take another one against the Yankees, and we'll talk to everyone on Friday. Cheers.